Does cyberspace have promises? Obviously. Just look at how your kids are living and look at the way our physical identities and our digital identities are really coming together. So this notion about this big difference between the online world and the offline world, that distinction is starting to melt away. Online firms are starting to do offline things. Of course, offline firms have all been migrating to online things. So we see all the conveniences that this has brought us in our everyday life, from government services to our home shopping to you just want to know something, so you go to the web and see it. But what's the implication of all of these promises of cyberspace? And one of the big implications is that everything we do in cyberspace leaves a digital trail. A digital trail that sort of shows what we do. And because these things are all through the cyber mechanisms and it's all digital to begin with, all of this data can be collected. All right? So that brings us to a separate issue, which are some of the perils of cyberspace. And the thing I really want you to take home is to realize that for the rest of our lives, we really have to be managing these trade-offs between the security of data that's generated through all of these cyber interactions and the risks and the threats, which are quite real, that can be associated with people doing things they shouldn't be doing with this data or getting to data that they shouldn't be getting to. So that's one set of issues. Another aspect is there's so many conveniences due to the promises of cyberspace, and they indeed leave digital trails, but it does raise privacy issues and related civil liberties issues. And then, of course, we just want things to be easier as individuals and easier in part of the teams, groups, and work organizations that we're part of. And of course, we can make things more secure, but it can make things more encumbered. So there's this trade-off between basic access and ease of accessibility. So we've got this triangle. A lot of us are familiar with the better, faster, cheaper type triangle where, hey, you can get one of the three, two of the three, very, very, very hard to get three of the three. So everybody in their own life knows how to make the trade-offs between better, faster, and cheaper. And here we are in this day and age because of the forward motion and progress driven by the obvious promises of cyberspace that I think most of us are quite familiar with and we realize. But it also leaves us with these trade-offs between security, both digital security as well as the related physical system security that's closely linked to the digital security, and threats that can arise due to digital security, privacy and civil liberties, all right? I do all these things with my mobile phone, or I do all this browsing, and I'm glad I have the internet availability to do that kind of thing. It makes things possible and easy for me that otherwise would never be the case. But, there's sort of like my private actions. I want protected as my private actions. At the same time, at least for me personally, I'm sort of glad that the public sector agencies are monitoring the bad guys. But darn, they better do it in a way that protects my individual privacy too, given that I'm sort of like a normal person, just doing what normal persons do and how we use our digital information. And then the trade-off with accessibility. So in this show, we're going to look at some of these trade-offs between privacy and civil liberties, security, and managing the risks associated with cybersecurity, and accessibility. Because only through really understanding these and only through getting away from the fear and sort of not taking a knee-jerk reaction to these things, thinking them through, will we be able to make the decisions that will enable us to keep realizing the promises of cyberspace.